Hey, what are you doing with your face in your face? How are you? My name is Nick. How are you? I hope that you're doing well, and I enjoy your face. Hey, thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. Tons of videos here. Check them out. They're free. Subscribe. Tell your mom. Tell your aunt. Tell your uncle. Most importantly, if you're watching me on Patreon, that means that you need to donate. $3, $6, $25 a month. Pick a tier. Become a patron at patreon.com/NickDShow. And you'll get bonus material and videos and all kinds of cool stuff. So donate. It helps out. I mean, it's like $3 a month. What is that? What do you? That's a bag of Ruffles a month. Come on, you can afford that. Be cool. So thank you. My podcast is the Nick D Podcast from the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. New episodes every Tuesday and Friday. If you're a regular viewer of these things, or you know me, or you used to listen to my radio show, or you listen to my podcast, which is free, and you should subscribe right now, radiomisfits.com, or wherever you get your podcasts at every platform, Nick D Podcast. You know that I'm a horror film fanatic. I love horror movies. See? See? Hey, by the way, the 20th anniversary celebration of the Flashback Horror Convention, the greatest horror convention in the country, is coming up August 5th through the 7th at the Hyatt Recency O'Hare. I missed last year, but I'm back, and I've been with the Flashback Convention for 20 years, since the beginning. Big convention this year with Robert Englund is coming back, Heather Langenkamp, Robert Carradine, Alex Winter from Bill and Ted, PJ Souls from Halloween. So many other. We've got some Jasons and some Michaels and some great celebrities coming up. And I will be there the whole weekend. I'm going to be doing my podcast live from the stage at the Flashback Convention, August 5th through the 7th. So I'll be doing the Nick D Podcast live. We'll have special guests and all kinds of cool things. Sven Gulli's going to be there like he is every year. Movie screenings, great events, vendors. It's like the best horror weekend celebration that you can possibly have, and it's here in this city, and it's run by the two coolest people on the planet, Mike and Mia Kurz, and we're doing a lot of special stuff for the celebration of the 20th anniversary, and because of my podcast and stuff, and I've been associated with them for so long, I'll be doing special screening, hosting special horror movie screenings, doing a lot of Q&As like I often do, moderate a lot of the celebrity Q&As, and we're going to have a party, 20th anniversary of the Flashback Convention. To your horror film fan, that's where you got it. By the way, that's where I bought this hat. That's where I got the sweatshirt. The vendor room is unbelievable, filled with incredible, really cool people who sell unbelievable horror items and memorabilia, T-shirts and shirts and, action figures and all. I mean, everything that you could possibly think of horror-related you can buy and sell and look at. You meet celebrities. We have great movie screenings and great events. My podcast live from the stage. Esmeralda's going to be there. Esmeralda Leon is going to be there as part of it. So it's going to be a blast. August 5th through the 7th, Hyatt Recency O'Hare. Check out flashbackweekend.com. Flashbackweekend.com. You can't afford to miss it. It's going to be great. And we're going to be celebrating that and my podcast. It's just going to be fucking awesome. So if you're a horror fan, you have to go to the Flashback Convention. So as a horror fan, I was looking over on the intranets, and I found this thing on cracked.com, which is a really fun website, which I know if you're older, around my age, when you hear Cracked, you think of, well, that's that magazine that was kind of a ripoff of Mad. And it is kind of that, but now it's become this great pop culture website filled with really fun articles and really cool things. Well, I found this article, and I thought that I would talk about it here on the video here, but without looking at it. So I'm doing like without looking at it. I did not brief myself on this. So what I'm going to look at is this article, and the article is, as a horror film fan, and as someone who is very excited about the Flashback Weekend, August 5th through the 7th, 32 spooky behind-the-scenes facts about famous horror movies. Ooh. So I thought I'd go through these facts and just bust out my thoughts on them. You're a horror film fan? This is going to be fun. You and I are going to do this together for the first time. I'm going to learn about 32 spooky behind-the-scenes facts about famous horror films. You're going to learn, I'll comment, and you can too, down here where you write shit. Okay, so let's see. What's first here? Let's go. Okay, first fact is the movie The Invisible Man, the most recent version with the Elizabeth Moss. It says, here's your fact. 4 houses were used to create the interior of the house in The Invisible Man. Didn't know that. Not a groundbreaking fact. Okay. I like that movie, by the way. I really did, because I love Elizabeth Moss. She's awesome. But it seems like now she's like doing a lot of the similar kind of stuff. And I love the new show that she shot here, Shining Girls, that was shot here in Chicago. That's her new thriller show. I've been calling kind of The Invisible Man, but he's visible. That's kind of, it just seems like the same kind of, it's good, and she's awesome. Elizabeth Moss is like, one of the greatest actresses that's ever lived, and I love her deeply. But this new show that she's on, it's like The Invisible Man, only visible. All right, so that's fact number one. Not a great fact so far, correct? Again, I'm seeing these for the first time with you. Raw, the movie Raw, one of my favorites. I love that movie. Insane horror film from a few years ago. It says, some of the gross vet scenes in Raw were real. The horse collapsing really happened as the filmmakers got permission to film one of the animals being sedated, and the hand up the cow's ass was also very real and done under veterinary supervision. Okay, I knew that as well. I did. I knew that as well. Because you can't really like fake that. You're not going to build an entire, latex cow to stick your hand up it. Raw, great movie, by the way. And you want to see that director's follow-up, Titane, one of the best films of last year. She's nuts, this director. Crazy French director. Raw. Hey, you like cannibal movies? Raw is your ticket. How about this one, Ready or Not, with Samara Weaving, who I love. Ready or Not. Really terrific movie. Desserts were used to create the gore in Ready or Not. Banana and jelly were used to create human innards, and the blood on Samara Weaving's face was caramel syrup dyed red. Ooh, so the next time you watch Ready or Not, again, another really good movie that not a lot of people have seen. It's kind of like, let's hunt the lady, like it's a whole family hunting down the bride. It's like human hunting. It's a very cool movie. And Samara Weaving, I love her. She is Hugo Weaving's niece. Hugo Weaving, Agent Smith, Mr. Anderson, from Lord of the Rings. Hugo Weaving. That's his lovely little niece. So yeah, Ready or Not. Desserts, not gore. How about Scream 3? Emily Mortimer thought she was the killer while filming Scream 3. Wow. The actress who gets offed by Ghostface in the third act explained that everyone was made to believe that they might be the killer to make the acting more prominent and the audience more confused. I didn't know that. So everybody in Scream 3, all the cast members thought that they were the killer. That's pretty interesting. Wes Craven pulling the wool over these young people's eyes. How about that? You don't fuck with Wes Craven. Even when he's dead now, you still don't mess with him. Okay, so there you go. Everybody thought that they were the killer. I think that's kind of interesting. I'm going to have to go back and watch Scream 3 again. I like all the Scream movies except for the last one, which was a meta piece of shit. All right, You're Next. Oh, I love that movie. You're Next. If you've not seen it, fantastic, fantastic movie. Actress Sharni Vincent, by the way, appeared at Flashback Weekend a few years back. Perfectly lovely girl. I did her Q&A. It was a blast. She's awesome. Met her, hung out with her, and you get to do the same thing. Meet, hang out with celebrities, August 5th through the 7th. Anyway, actress Sharni Vincent almost lost an eye while filming You're Next. Ooh. During the first scene where the family goes into full-blown panic, Vincent's character dives and crawls underneath a dining table. As she dived, though, she went straight into the high heel of an actress playing her sister, and she had a black eye for days. Didn't know that. You're Next. Great home invasion, really scary, really funny movie with a kick-ass final girl performance by Sharni Vincent. She may have almost lost an eye, but her performance in that movie is great. If you've not seen You're Next, you should. Poltergeist, the original Poltergeist. Hey, not scary, not good, shitty movie. All right. The actor playing Robbie, that's the little kid, the boy, almost got strangled for real while filming Poltergeist. In the 1982 film, Robbie gets strangled by the animated clown doll while filming the scene. The arms of the props dolls were way too tight. Actor Oliver Robbins screamed that he couldn't breathe, but Spielberg thought Robbins was just improvising until he saw the kid's face turn purple. It's funny that they use Spielberg in this little quote here, because technically Tobe Hooper has directorial credit on Poltergeist, but there's all these rumors, behind-the-scene rumors, and I'm sure you've heard them if you're a horror film fan. Spielberg actually stepped in and directed a lot of Poltergeist, most of it, because he didn't like what Tobe Hooper was doing. They hired Tobe Hooper because they wanted to give it some horror film legitimacy. So, like, Spielberg is like producer of the movie and co-writer, And he's like, let's get a horror director. Let's get Tobe Hooper. He did Texas Chainsaw, so let's have him direct it. Spielberg didn't like it. It wasn't Spielbergy enough, and he came in and fucked it up because Poltergeist is not a good movie. It's not scary. And the kid almost getting strangled is like the least of that. Now, there's a lot of curses associated with the Poltergeist series. Heather O'Rourke, the little girl, died young. The girl, Griffin Dunn's like niece, or was it his niece or his sister-in-law or something? Dominique Dunn, she was shot by a fan and killed. One of the old guys died in Poltergeist. There was all kinds of weird shit that happened on the set of all 4 of the Poltergeist movies. So the Poltergeist movie Curse, that's a whole thing. I think they did a documentary entirely dedicated to all the crazy shit that happened when the making of Poltergeist. So anyway, this kid almost got strangled, and the person who wrote this article thinks that Spielberg actually did get directing credit. Tobe Hooper gets directing credit. Mother, I love this movie. A very divisive movie, splits people right down the middle. Either you love it or you fucking hate it. I love it. Darren Aronofsky's batshit crazy movie about creation and life and Mother Earth. Insane. And the shit that Jennifer Lawrence had to go through while making that movie, it's an intense, crazy, batshit nuts movie. I love it. I think it's a masterpiece, in fact. It's crazy horror film, insane. Gore, insanity, intensity, incredibly weird, in-your-face. Ugh. It'll drive you nuts. Gave me anxiety attacks, made me sick. I love every second of it. So Jennifer Lawrence coped during the filming of Mother with a little help from the Kardashians. The crew made Lawrence a Kardashian tent where she could decompress and watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians while chewing gumballs. Yeah, they put her through, Aronofsky put her through hell on that movie. If you watch that movie, it's an insane, courageous, exhausting, beautiful performance by Jennifer Lawrence. And the shit that she goes through as a character and as an actress in that movie, intense to say the least. It's a great film. But yeah, she needed a break, so she watched reality TV and chewed gumballs to get away from it all. In the movie Trick or Treat, the performers playing the kids on the school bus in Trick or Treat all had real disabilities or injuries. They all had a blast making the movie during the shoot. Their costumes were inspired by homemade costumes for real kids with mental disabilities. So they hired a bunch of kids with mental disabilities and got them to be in a movie, and they're all in the movie, and they had their costumes like custom made. They're wearing all these crazy like bunny and weird mask costumes and stuff, and they're in the movie Trick or Treat, which by the way is a very underrated cult movie. That movie's got a really wonderful quality to it, and it's got a great cult following. Just ask people at the Flashback Convention. There's a lot of fans for Trick or Treat, that film. They'll be at the Flashback Convention as well. But anyway, those kids had a great time, and so if you watch it, you know that they were all genuinely kids with disabilities. The cast and the crew of The Omen narrowly escaped multiple plane disasters. Classic movie from 1976, The Omen, directed by the late great Richard Donner, Gregory Peck, Lee Remick. Actor Gregory Peck and writer David Seltzer, producer Mace Newfield, all flew in separate planes struck by lightning throughout the production. Peck would later allude at plane death one more time when a flight that had just been canceled, crashed, killing everybody on board. Ooh. This is another one of those cursed movies. By the way, there's a really terrific series on Shudder, which is a great horror streaming service. It's called Cursed Films, and it's a whole bunch of different hour-long episodes about horror movies that have been cursed. And The Omen, they do an episode on The Omen too. That's another one, like Poltergeist, that had a whole bunch of weird shit happen on set to the actors. Again, 3 different airplanes getting struck by lightning with members of the people who worked on The Omen in the planes, 3 separate airplanes. Creepy. The Omen. I saw that movie 900 times when it came out in 1976. Gotta say this, though, to be truthful, doesn't hold up very well. Sorry, doesn't. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the only story that's ever been made 4 times, and all 4 versions are good. All 4 versions of the Body Snatchers movies, all 4 of them are good. 3 of them are fucking great. And the best one is from 1978, and that's what this one's about. Veronica Cartwright is actually freaking out at the end of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Director Philip Kaufman really wanted Cartwright's reaction to be genuine, so he kept the actress in the dark about the ending. So when Donald Sutherland reveals that his body has been snatched, the shock on her face, and then she actually went into a full-blown panic. That final shot in the 1978 version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you've been following Donald Sutherland and those people through this whole nightmare, and at the end when he goes, ooh, that whole thing, and Veronica Cartwright starts fucking screaming and freaking out. Veronica Cartwright does a lot of screaming in movies. All the way back to The Birds. In Alien, she screams her ass off when when the alien pops out of John Hurt's chest. And Ridley Scott didn't tell her that was going to happen. So I guess directors like to fuck with Veronica Cartwright. George Miller did the same thing on Witches of Eastwick. He fucked with her too, like offset. Wow, I didn't know that. So Veronica Cartwright is the most manipulated actress in movie history. Hitchcock fucked with her, Ridley Scott fucked with her, Philip Kaufman fucked with her. And George Miller. Wow, I just put that all together. You see what happens when you kind of improvise a video with facts that you didn't know? So Veronica Cartwright, the most manipulated actress in film history. All right. Okay, next. Last House on the Left, the original. Sandra Peabody thought she was going to be raped while filming The Last House on the Left. Director Wes Craven said Peabody was terrified throughout the film, suspicious of their lack of filming permits. Her male co-stars amplified her fears with one's method act involving pulling down her pants, fondling her, and asking Craven if he could assault her. Wow. Doesn't surprise me at all. I admire the effect that Last House on the Left has on people, and I love Wes Craven, not one of my favorite movies. Wow. Cannibal Holocaust. Oh, man. All right. Ruggero Deodato was emotionally tortured. The cast and the crew of Cannibal Holocaust, they were tortured. Filming in the middle of nowhere, crew members were left in tears, vomiting after being forced to perform or witness no fewer than 7 animal murders. Deodato also abused the locals, making native children extras huddle inside a tent while it was set on fire in a hut. Yeah, Cannibal Holocaust is considered one of the very first sort of maybe a snuff movie. Nobody got killed. They didn't murder anybody. They did horrible things and got away with a lot of shit. Like Wes Craven, because he didn't have permits to film him. Last House on the Left was shot with like 2 cameras and a bunch of fucking drunk, high assholes. Cannibal Holocaust was shot with no permits. Everything in that movie, if you watch Cannibal Holocaust, people are like, well, I'm convinced there were real murders. People were actually killed. It's a snuff movie. It's not. But it's another one of those movies, very crazy and intense, like Last House on the Left. But yeah, they did horrible things. It Chapter 2. Hated It Chapter 2. Loved the first one. Hated the second one. It Chapter 2 holds the record for the most fake blood during a scene. The bathroom scene, featuring Jessica Chastain's character Beverly, used a whopping 4,500 plus gallons of fake blood. Okay, listen, I'm sorry there, Crack, but I think you're wrong, because the Evil Dead movies hold the record for most gore, liquid, pus, blood, goo. Sam Raimi holds the record for that. Do a little more fact-checking there, Cracked. I know Chapter 2, that scene does have a lot of blood and goo in it. It doesn't even come close to the work of the brilliant Sam Raimi. Blood Red Sky. Blood Red Sky. 1,000 nails were made for the vampires in Blood Red Sky. The production team also sculpted 6 different foreheads and pairs of ears for the actors to wear. Okay, I've never seen Blood Red Sky. I'm looking at the photo, don't recognize it. All right, well, they did a lot of work on Blood Red Sky. A Quiet Place, John Krasinski's terrific horror movie, also has a great sequel. How they made the alien sound effects in A Quiet Place, the clicking sounds of the aliens when hunting for their prey, were produced by shooting a stun gun into grapes. How about that? John Krasinski. MacGyver, all of a sudden. Mr. Wizard. Shooting stun guns into grapes. So all that shit that the alien creatures, the sounds that they make when they're hunting in A Quiet Place, now you know. Some jagoff was got a stun gun shooting it into grapes. See, you learn something new every day. Okay. COVID. Jennifer's Body. Hate this movie. The marketing for Jennifer's Body was absolute hell. It seems that nobody was happy about the marketing of the movie. Not only was the film marketed to a male audience by male marketers, but at one point, much to director Karen Kusama's horror, who's a great director, by the way, the marketing company wanted Megan Fox to do live chats on amateur porn sites to sell the film. Somehow that's not surprising. I think I need to go back and watch Jennifer's Body again. I've only seen it the one time. Karen Kusama is a terrific filmmaker. She directed, by the way, the pilot to Yellow Jackets. She also directed The Invitation. She's a terrific director. Girl Fight was also Karen Kusama. And it was written by, what's her ass? Juno ass. Whatever, I can't remember her name. Diablo Cody. Cody, yeah. She wrote it. I've only seen it the one time, and I remember not liking it. I should go back and watch it again. Maybe that's one thing that this list is doing for me. I'm going to go back and watch Jennifer's Body again. But I'm not surprised at all it was marketed to men. Megan Fox was in it. So, of course, they were like, yeah, let's get the horny teenagers to come and see it. 28 Days Later, shooting for 28 Days Later helped fund a hospital. A real hospital was used over the weekend to film the first scenes of the movie, and the rental fees went directly to the hospital's trust fund. So there you go. Danny Boyle making that rage-infected, crazy rage. It's not a zombie movie, by the way. It's not a fucking zombie movie. If you call 28 Days Later a zombie movie, you're a dumbass and you don't know what a zombie is. But yeah, so the opening scenes where Cillian Murphy is walking around with his dong hanging out, those were shot in hospitals and outside hospitals. They helped fund a hospital. Very nice. Slumber Party Massacre. Love this movie. Love it. Classic slasher, gore, stupid, titty, video nasty from 1982. To find properties at which to film the Slumber Party Massacre, producer Roger Corman told the production team to use the title Sleepless Night for the movie instead, Sleepless Night. The idea was to trick homeowners to offer up their properties by making them think that they were going to be in a classy thriller. Roger Corman, don't tell them the movie's called Slumber Party Massacre. Tell them it's called Sleepless Night and that it's a nice, classy little thriller. Then they'll let you use their house. So these people, their houses are in it, and then years later they're like, yeah, our house was in this Slumber Party Massacre movie. Rosemary's Baby. Roman Polanski made Mia Farrow eat raw chicken liver in Rosemary's Baby. In the scene where the expectant Rosemary craves raw meat, the director had Farrow eat raw liver take after take, despite the fact that the actress was a strict vegetarian at the time. God. Directors are assholes, man. Some of them are just assholes. Wow. Good movie, though. The effect is great. That's not cool. The Meg. It's not a horror movie. What's it doing in this article? It's not a horror movie. The Meg is a giant shark, fucking stupid, stay-them bald, dumbass movie. Ruby Rose's wardrobe nearly caused her to drown while filming The Meg. The actress said that she was dressed in layers to protect from the cold, making swimming very difficult. Then, Rose's shoes began filling up with water, dragging her to the bottom of the tank, where she drank a lot of water before safety divers were able to pull her up. God, someone was almost killed making that stupid fucking movie? Ugh. Jaws, how about this one? George Lucas got his head stuck in the Jaws mechanical shark. Wait, what? I'm sorry, what? George Lucas got his head caught in the mechanical shark. When Lucas came to visit the set, he playfully placed his head in the robot fish monster's jaws. Director Steven Spielberg activated the controls, and the robotic beast clamped down on Lucas and broke. But it took a while for him to eventually be freed. I've never heard that story before. I thought I knew everything about the making of Jaws. George Lucas almost got decapitated by fucking Bruce on the set of Jaws? That's pretty cool. Steven Spielberg almost murdered George Lucas. Wow. Wow, and this was before the prequels came out when he should have been murdered. Wow. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Tobe Hooper. Gunnar Hansen had to wear a rancid shirt, and I knew this one, every day in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Filmmakers only made one costume for Leatherface, and it couldn't be cleaned for fear of its color fading, so his shirt became so stiff and putrid after 16 hours a day. Hansen said that after a month, you could lean my suit up against the wall. It's absolutely true. Listen, I've been in low-budget storefront theater. I've worn some costumes that could live by themselves. Trust me, back in the old days, in the 90s at the Factory Theater, we wore a lot of costumes that didn't get washed very often. I've been there. But yeah, no, that's a true story. Gunnar Hansen, who I got to meet before he died, Leatherface. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of the greatest horror films, and one of the greatest films in general ever made. But yeah, super low budget. He had to wear that shit all the time. The Birds. We know this one. Hitchcock tortured Tippi Hedren with actual live birds in The Birds. I knew this one. Hedren recalled how for days the director would throw real birds at her and would proceed to scratch the shit out of the actress, she said. On the last day, the director tied birds to Hedren and nearly pecking her eye out. She began to cry and the crew just walked away. Again, director, dick. Hitchcock was a cocksucker, man. He was just mean, and he had a crush on Tippi Hedren, wanted to sleep with her, and when, she wouldn't, succumb to his whims, he treated her like shit. He did that to a lot of actresses. except for Grace Kelly. He didn't do it to Grace Kelly, but he did it to a lot of actors that he worked with, especially Tippi Hedren. And of course, Tippi Hedren is the mother of Melanie Griffith, who showed up on the set, and Hitchcock presented her with a little gift, and she opened it up, and it was a coffin. And inside the coffin, she opened it up, was a doll of Tippi Hedren, her mother, dead and bloody. That was the gift that he gave to Melanie Griffith. And by the way, three generations of actresses who have been in great horror movies and are terrific actresses. Tippi Hedren worked with Hitchcock. Melanie Griffith worked with De Palma. Dakota Johnson, Suspiria, love her. Okay. Predator, also not a horror movie. Not a horror movie, action movie. Producers had to hire a guy to protect the crew from one cast member of Predator. The insurance company was so concerned that the late Sonny Landham would go off the deep end. Director John McTiernan stated that they hired a 6'8" bodyguard to follow Landham around 24 hours to protect the rest of from him to protect the crew from him. So Sonny Landham, who was also in 48 Hours, big crazy Indian guy in 48 Hours, he was in Predator. I didn't know that. They had to hire somebody to protect everybody from Sonny Landham. Cabin in the Woods, one of the best movies of the 2000s, one of the best horror movies of the 2000s. Legendary final girl Heather Langenkamp from A Nightmare on Elm Street did makeup for The Cabin in the Woods. Langenkamp and her husband, David Leroy Anderson, have a company that specializes in prosthetic makeup, monster costumes, and other makeup effects for film studios. I did know that. I did know that. Her husband and her, they do makeup effects for movies, and they worked on Cabin in the Woods. And you know what? You can ask her that question yourself when you come to the Flashback Weekend, because Heather Langenkamp is going to be there. So ask her yourself, August 5th through the 7th. Flashbackweekend.com. Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street. Before he became Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund was paid to throw leaves around the set on Halloween. Englund said that he was conned by his roommate to work as a temporary set builder on the production of the 1978 film. I knew that too. Robert Englund did, in fact, work on the set of Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween. And again, if you want to ask him that question, you can, because he's going to be at the Flashback Weekend, August 5th through the 7th, this coming August. Kyle Richards, this is from Halloween. Kyle Richards was messed up for years after doing Halloween. The then 9-year-old actress said, although she had done horror films before, Halloween turned her off for the genre for good. I was terrified, said Richards, adding that after seeing herself in the movie, she had to sleep with her mother until she was 15. Well, she didn't, because she's in the new stupid-ass Halloween movies. The shitty Danny McBride, David Gordon Green pieces of shit. 2018 Halloween reboot, Halloween Kills, and this new dumbass Halloween Ends that's coming out in a few months. I guess she survived enough to get a paycheck to be in those dumbass movies. Night of the Living Dead, a screenwriter, was on set for Night of the Living Dead. In the scene where they were throwing Molotov cocktails at zombies, co-writer John Russo told George Romero it would be unrealistic that none would catch on fire. When Romero said that they had no stuntmen, Russo volunteered to be set ablaze despite having no training or protective equipment for the job. True story. I interviewed John Russo, did a Q&A with him at the Flashback Weekend, and he told that very story. Bill Skarsgård was so miserable making it that he suffered from Pennywise nightmares. The actor compared the role to a destructive relationship, adding that I was incredibly miserable. Skarsgård said that even after the film was done, he would have vivid nightmares about a demon clown every night he came and visited me. All right, well, fair enough, because you gave everybody else fucking nightmares. It's only fair that you got nightmares too. All right, The Exorcist. Oh, we can go into a ton of shit that happened on the set of The Exorcist. Don't get me started. This is one of those movies where I'm incredibly qualified. I'm an expert on The Exorcist. Linda Blair and Ellen Burstyn both suffered brutal back injuries while filming The Exorcist. The lacing on the device used to thrash Linda Blair on the bed became undone, causing the actress serious injury for her back, and she yelled them to stop. That whole thing where she's jumping up and down on the bed and getting ripped back and forth, she really hurt her back. Friedkin was a fucking maniac on the set of that movie, firing real guns, like actual guns. He would fire an actual bullet, a round to scare people on the set. They slapped the shit out of a priest before, filming a scene, and the priest was shaking and crying at the end because Friedkin slapped the shit out of him. Burstyn was thrown off of her feet back first into a table, screaming in agony. Both shots with the cries of pain are used in the final movie. Fucking Friedkin. Gothica. Ooh. Halle Berry, Robert Downey. Robert Downey Jr. broke Halle Berry's arm while filming Gothica. While filming a scene at an institution, Downey was supposed to restrain the actress when he accidentally grabbed her arm the wrong way and broke it. The actor issued a public apology to Berry, but still the actress reportedly hasn't forgiven him. Wow, that movie was not worth breaking your arm over, Holly. Robert Downey, busting people's arms. And then finally, the last one, The Blair Witch Project. The cast's distress in The Blair Witch Project wasn't all acting. I know this one. Filmmakers gave the actors supplies, basically sent them off into the woods, and as they grew more cold and tired, the directors cut off their food rations, secretly terrorized them with creepy sounds, and violently shook their tents while they were trying to get some sleep. Absolutely true. One of the reasons why The Blair Witch Project is a masterpiece, one of the best horror films ever made, and an absolutely terrifying movie. And again, if you disagree with me, you're fucking wrong, because the movie's great. Blair Witch Project, they totally messed with the actors. It was all improvised. There was like an outline of a script, barely a few pages, and they were sent out in the woods. They didn't know where they were going. And then the directors would whisper into one cast member's ear to do something to the other cast members that they didn't know about. So all the reactions that you see on film, the dynamic between those three actors was totally manipulated by the directors behind the scene. Lack of sleep. They were in the middle of nowhere. They didn't know where they were. They weren't told what was going to happen next. They set up a whole bunch of shit in the woods that they didn't know was going to be set up. All that screaming, all that terror, all that crying, all that horrifying intensity. That's all real because the directors put them out there, improvised, and made one of the best movies ever. So. Well, there you go. Some facts about horror movies. Maybe you didn't know. I knew a lot of these. I did. Because, I'm a horror fanatic. So, well, there you go. All right. So, hey, one more time. Flashback Weekend. Don't forget. August 5th through the 7th. Hyatt Recency O'Hare, flashbackweekend.com, 20th anniversary, incredible celebrity guests. Check out all the guests that are all there. Amazing lineup. I will be there doing my usual moderation of Q&As. I'll be hosting some special film screenings on Friday and Saturday night, and a live edition of the Nick D podcast on stage at the Flashback Convention. Horror rules, baby. Horror movies will live forever. That's what John Carpenter said. That's what I say, and we'll continue to do that. And fun little facts about horror movies. Ooh.